We've recently just had a new firmware update for the DJI RC that brings this really nice refreshed look to this. We've got DJI FLY spots. This looks fantastic. But what about actually flying that Mini 4 Pro in not perfect conditions on this new DJI FLY update? Is it safe? Should you actually update? Is there any performance issues? That's what I will find out today. Let's get into it. Okay, so I'm not going to waste any time, but it's actually 7 degrees. It's not raining, which is rare for the UK, but we do have a bit of a wind problem. So we've got 25 miles per hour winds and 44 miles per hour gusts at 50 meters in height. So not ideal. And I want to actually show you the limitations of this Mini 4 Pro. Hopefully it doesn't get blown away. We'll see at the end. But I also want to see what that battery life is actually like. So I'm going to start an actual timer in a second on my watch, and then see just how much battery life we get in windy conditions like this, but also to see if there is any issues with this new DJI FLY app as well. Now, interestingly, the battery is on 89%, so I fully charged this last night. So less than 12 hours ago, this was fully charged in the case inside of here, and it's discharged 11% already overnight. Not ideal. Once I get this in the air, we'll see that that battery percentage goes right down really quick. So let's go before we waste any more battery. Okay, so the drone's up in the air, so 88% battery. Let's start the stopwatch and let's see how we get on. So we've got to be careful in this area here because it is a bit like Seagull Alley. There's seagulls everywhere. But I just want to see if there's any problems, first of all, with this DJI FLY app in the way that the drone actually flies. Now, there was, when I was testing this just before Christmas on the DJI Air 3, there was like some stuttering, a bit of lag when moving that drone around, but I spoke to DJI and that was fixed really fast. Now, I haven't noticed any issues so far in here, but it's always a good idea to actually test and have a bit of a practice flight with your drone. Let me just adjust this because I've not got the strongest ND filter on today. Let's just fly towards these boats. Now, I'm going to be flying with the wind behind the drone, so it is going to be more of a challenge getting it back to me. So let's just fly towards here and just make sure that everything is working great. So I'm just going to fly basically forwards, left, right, just to see if there's any stuttering at all. So we've had this strong wind warning message already. That's expected. We're at 72 meters in height. But the actual app, the way the drone is handling the controls on the sticks, nice and responsive, no problems there. Now look at that attitude indicator. As the drone is actually moving to the right, look how much it is getting blown around. And if we can actually now swipe, you see now, look at that, that looks really bad. And the scary part is that we can actually now swipe and actually look at this obstacle avoidance camera and look at the state of that, how much that is getting blown around, but also how it's stabilizing itself as well. Wow, I don't think I've seen anything like that before. It is a good thing that we've got this, but also it's like, I really should bring this drone back. So let's have a look at the battery. So we're on 74% of battery, but it's only giving me 7 minutes predicted until that return to home comes on, and 10 minutes of actual forced landing, which isn't a lot. So it is important, if you are going to fly in conditions like this, don't fly too far out. Okay, so let's just go a bit closer towards these boats here. Let's just test now. So the video was working fine. Let's just switch now to the photos. Now, I'm not going to win any awards on composition on these photos. It's purely just testing that everything's working okay. So always recommend for your format, have it for JPEG and RAW. Don't just use JPEG because the RAW photos will capture a lot more data. So then you can color grade them, you can tweak them to your liking. So I always recommend that. So let's switch now to that vertical camera. Just going to get a quick vertical shot here. So yeah, photos, videos, nice and responsive. For photos, if you look on the settings here under camera, I don't use the 48 megapixel. I'll just quickly show you. If I switch to that, I will actually test this now. So if we take a picture, if you look now, there is a significant lag of around about 3 seconds whilst that photo is processing. So if you're taking a lot of photos, that can be quite annoying. And to be honest, the difference between taking a 48 megapixel photo and a 12 unless you're doing like some really unique or good photos, you're not going to tell much difference. I'll put both of these on the screen. Okay, so photos and videos. Now I want to actually show you now this battery life. So 61%, so it's gone down quick, only 3 minutes until return to home. And you can see why it's fighting this wind so much. This is the biggest limitation to the Mini 4 Pro or the Mini 3 Pro. in windy conditions, windy environments like this, they are not great. The DJI Air 3 will give you so much more confidence. So if you live in like a windy area, you're like traveling to places where it is naturally windy, this is the biggest limitation. I can't get a lot of flight time or enjoyment out of this today because of these wind conditions. Okay, so whilst the drone's here, I've just turned it round. I'm actually going to now fly back towards my location and just see what it's like. So I've just pushed forward on that right stick. So we're about 3 meters per second. So not the fastest. So you can see it's fighting that wind. And if you just look at the actual indicators on the left-hand side, the drone is dipping a little bit. So that wind's pushing it down. I'm not even touching that left stick and it's dropped 10 meters in height already. So that isn't great at all. This drone, it's good that it can sustain this wind, it can fight this wind, but you need to be super careful when flying in any winds like this. Also, just look at that battery, it is draining fast. Now, a good tip for you, I'll just quickly show you. If you are struggling getting your drone back, you're pushing that right stick, it's not moving, just change the actual flight path, put it into sports mode. Let's lower that, say, 60 meters, and we'll push forward on that stick now, and now it's going at 7 meters per second, a lot better. And now all I need to do is to get back to the location I want to. I'll just change direction again, and we're kind of like not flying directly into the wind, we're flying around the wind. And that's a super important tip for you. Otherwise, that drone isn't strong enough to get through these strong winds. It will keep fighting it, it will lose, and it will crash or land or crash land, which you don't want. So that's a good tip for you. Look at this. Look at the state of this drone now. So it is not happy. Let's just, whilst we're here, let's go through these menus and show you a couple more things. Now you do need to be careful because when you are in sports mode, if you are flying in a location like this where you've got lots of trees, there's some kind of like radar tower here, some electric pylons, that your sports mode, the sensors are not going to work. So do be careful when you're flying back in sports mode in a windy condition. So I don't think this will work correctly, but let's just have a go. So let's just try now and drag a box around this. Let's just see if it can actually track it. We'll just see if there's any problems with this. It might not work this, but we will try. So I'm just going to push on that right stick, and yeah, actually, oh no, it's lost it. So let's try and get a little bit closer. Maybe here, let's try that. Let's drag a box around that now. This won't always work. Sometimes it works on buildings or structures like this, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to push right, and let's see if it can keep it centered whilst fighting this wind. Now, it's interesting also to show you that when you're using intelligent features like this, you will experience even more battery drain. So if you just look at that battery indicator, it is dropping fast. But it's doing a good job. It's tracking it well, it's keeping that lock on it, it's fighting that wind. So although I give this drone some stick for it not being fantastic in the wind, considering its size, it does a great job with all these features built into it. So let's now stop that, and we're just going to come back a little bit closer to my location again. We're just going to go and fly over this. So I'm not going to bother doing that because the low batteries come on already. It's now activated return to home, but the issue I've got here is that I'm pushing forward on that right stick and it's barely moving again. So I'm going to fly this direction now, just like we did before, and then bring it back to me a different way. Now, I'm also going to be lowering the altitude as well to, let's say, around about 50 meters in height. So as before, it said there's 45 miles per hour gusts. So we're going to come back like a bit of a pincer movement just behind these trees here, hopefully to give us a little bit of cover. You can see now, yeah, look at that, 7 meters per second. We're absolutely flying here, no issue. So 20% battery left. It's actually gone up now. We've actually gained, it's gone back into the green. So always have it close by to you. Don't be flying really far away in windy conditions like this. Now, if you look at my watch, we've actually had just now 10 minutes of flight time from this full battery, which it's not great. So it's actually going to go into a forced landing in less than a minute and a half. Just look at how fast that is going down. So it is frustrating, this drone, because whilst it's got all these different features, and the features are brilliant, that it's got all these different features, it's limited because of its performance when flying in windy conditions like this. So we've got 14% battery life left. I don't recommend ever going into the red. by having less than 10% battery. So we actually got 11 minutes and 17 seconds of flight time, which is not fantastic. So if you're thinking about getting one of these small drones, when you look on the website, it'll say like 34 minutes of flight time. That's in like perfect conditions. That's really rare to get anywhere close to that. Most days I'm averaging 25 minutes, but you can see on a windy day, you're gonna need a lot of batteries with you if you're actually wanting to get like a quick shot of that tower I did over there or some photos in this area. It is fantastic that this drone can withstand these winds, but you 100% need to know the limitations as well. So I'll put at the end of the video all about the new DJI FLY spots, which is great, but also be reminded that on the DJI RC2, it doesn't have any data or Wi-Fi connection when you're out away from the house. So if you actually click on the before you fly, it will say a white screen and it will actually say no network connection. So nothing will actually work for you in this situation, so you always need to make sure that you've got your phone with you. So what I need to do is actually turn my hotspot on my phone, go into the DJI RC and then turn Wi-Fi on, and then it will find my phone. I can click on that. That will then connect to the hotspot on my phone, hoping that you've got a phone signal. And then if we then go back onto here, now I should be able to go onto before you fly, and this will now load it up. So whilst this is great, it's always going to be a better idea to be looking at DJI FLY spots in your own time, maybe at home or, you know, in between flights. I wouldn't rock up to an area and then go, right, hang on, I'm here now, let's go and fly there, because you're also wasting the battery on the DJI RC2, you're using all your phone signal. I would personally do all this research at home and then save it, but it is really good, and I really like this new like refreshed look and everything on here. So I'll put that at the end of the video so you go and check it out. But overall, everything's working fine here, so you have no worries about the actual performance on the new DJI FLY 1.12.8. The only worry is because it's the winter, it's windy conditions. I know probably a lot of you are itching to get out there and go and fly your drone. If you have a Mini 4 Pro like this, I hope that this demonstrated the limitations of it. If you have a DJI Air 3, you're not going to be limited as much. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, just hit that like button. Loads more videos coming really soon, so subscribe if you're new around here. And I've got my own DJI cheat sheets, which go through all of these different settings on the controller to actually get the very most out of it. You can download them, keep them with you all the time. I'm actually going to be sending out today, as we speak, a free update, because some of these wordings have changed. Like we now have smart shot settings instead of focus track. Then I've changed all the different cheat sheets so the wordings are up to date. So I'm going to be sending everybody who's bought these already a free update. You'll get that in your email, and then you can re-download these cheat sheets for free. If you've not picked them up, you can get the latest version on my website right now. They're just $9.99. So thanks so much. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.